Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good day. Today we will proceed our learning session by discussing about subtopic 1.3 that is stimuli and responses in plant. Okay, so before this we have discussed about stimuli and responses in human. Now we will proceed to another living organism, that is plants. As you know that plants is also living organism that also can respond to the stimulation occur at the environment. So plant, in order for them to grow, so they need a system of response to detect the stimulation from outside, and this system will require something that can enable the plant to sustain and survive in their environment. So now the stimulation that can be detected by plant are as follows. So plant can detect stimuli such as light, water, gravity, and also touch. So this is among the stimuli that can be detected by plant. Okay, in order for plants to detect all these stimuli, the responses by plant will be divided into two. Okay, so responses by plants can be divided into two. Okay, so what are the responses? The first one is, we call it as a tropism, and the second is Nastic Movement. Nastic Movement. Okay, so now two type of responses by plant, that is tropism and Nastic Movement, have their own characteristic. So what is the meaning of tropism? Okay, tropism is a responses based on direction of stimuli. Means that plant will respond to the stimuli based on the direction of stimuli itself. Whilst Nastic movement does not base on direction of stimuli. Means that any responses by plant in Nastic movement, they will only respond not based on the direction of that stimuli. So they have their own movement and will not refer to the direction of that stimuli. So that is the difference between responses of tropism and responses of Nastic movement. So you have to remember these two types of responses by plant. Okay, now we will discuss about every one of these two responses. Okay, so all this thing is based on the type of stimuli. So in tropism, in tropism, we have name for these responses. Number one. Number one, based on the type of stimuli, we call it as a phototropism. This based on the light stimulation. Number two is hydrotropism. This is based on the water. Third, we call it as a geotropism. This one refer to the stimuli of gravity. Gravity. Fourth is thigmotropism. Thigmotropism. This type of tropism based on the stimuli of touch. So these four, phototropism, hydrotropism, geotropism, and thigmotropism, name given is based on the type of stimuli. So phototropism is a light stimulation, hydrotropism is a water stimulation, geotropism is a gravity stimulation, and thigmotropism based on the stimulation of touch. So all this type of tropism, we will have to look into the what exactly happened during this process. Before that, we will look into Nastic. For Nastic movement, normally we have only one type of stimuli, that is based on touch. So when plant touch any object, when plant touch any object, so they will react with no direction. Okay, so that is the definition and also the classification for two types of responses in plant. So now we look into the we will explain a little bit about what is the meaning furthermore about how the process of tropism occur. So this tropism, okay, this tropism okay, okay, this tropism will base on two term. So we have what we call as a positive tropism, and second is negative tropism. Okay, so what is the meaning of positive tropism and negative tropism? Okay, we will look after this. Okay, the color is not so clear, so we have to change the color first. Okay, okay, now positive tropism means that certain part of plant will move towards the direction of stimuli. So when plant detect any stimuli from certain direction, so certain part of plant will move towards the direction of the stimuli. So we call it as a positive tropism. For example, in phototropism, for certain part of plant, example shoot, okay, shoot will move towards light. So we call this movement as positive phototropism. Okay, so for shoot, when this part move towards the light, so we call it as a positive phototropism. If roots move away from light, so we call it as a negative phototropism. Okay, so in any tropism, for example phototropism, we have two types of phototropism based on the the reaction or the responses whether move towards the direction of stimuli or move away from the direction of the stimuli. So for the movement that towards the direction of stimuli, we call it as a positive phototropism, and for certain parts of plant that move away from the stimuli direction, so we call it as a negative phototropism. So for every tropism here, phototropism, hydrotropism, so we also have positive hydrotropism, positive hydrotropism, positive, and we also have negative hydrotropism, geotropism, and also thigmotropism. So every tropism have their own direction, whether positive or negative. Okay, so for every tropism, we'll have a certain experiment. Okay, this experiment will have to be conducted in lab by by doing something related to the plant that can detect the several type of stimuli. Okay, so in this today lesson, we'll only discuss about the concept and the theory of the responses. Okay, so that is about the tropism. Okay, the simple explanation about the tropism. So how about Nastic movement? So Nastic movement is the response toward a stimulus such as touch, but does not depend on the direction of the stimuli. Okay, so what are other stimuli that can cause Nastic movement? And why is Nastic movement not a type of tropism? Okay, so Nastic movement and tropism have different criteria in which, based on the definition itself, so Nastic will don't have any direction, and Nastic movement will don't have any direction of the stimuli. So it occurs rapidly than tropism. All this movement is exactly based on the protection. Plant conduct this movement normally because of protection. For example, species of Mimosa pudica. When we touch that plant, the leaf will move inwards to protect the leaf from any disturbance. Okay, so that is the simple explanation about Nastic movement. So after this, I want all of you to look into your textbook and refer to the experiment on page 30 until page 33. Okay, experiment 1.1, experiment 1.1, Okay, this experiment will discuss about responses of plant toward different type of stimuli. So we have three activities, A, B, and C. In this experiment, for A activities, we will study about responses of plants towards light, or we call it as a phototropism. B is responses of plant to gravity, or we call it as a geotropism. And third activity is responses of plants to water. To water, or we call it as a hydro. Hydro refer to water, hydrotropism. Okay, so these three activity in experiment 1.1. So I hope that you can read this experiment and try to understand what is the procedure and what is the concept behind all of this activity in this experiment. The most important thing you must know what is the aim or the objective of this activity, and what are the hypotheses and conclusion based on these activities of this experiment. So I hope that you can understand the simple explanation about stimuli and responses in plant. So the most important thing is plant can detect stimuli. Plant can detect stimuli, and among the stimulus that always being detected and very important in the growth of the plant is light, water, gravity, and touch. So this is among the stimulus that always being detected and needed by plant. Okay, and how the plant respond to this stimuli can be classified into two: tropism, that is based on the direction of stimuli. Second is a Nastic movement that does not based on the direction of stimuli. And we have four tropism based on the different type of stimuli. So I hope that you can understand and try to remember the classification and the meaning of stimuli and responses in plant. Before we dismiss, I want you to do the notes for this 1.3 stimuli and responses in plant, and also do the exercise that is formative practice 1.3, page 35. So please do this formative practice. Okay, that's all for today. Okay, we will continue our lesson on Thursday. Okay, that's